What's up, everyone? This is Andrew from TechRaptor. I'm here with a couple of the staff members now that we've put out our video talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 and where we were with our spoiler-free discussion. With this one, we're going to go full spoilers. And so, guys, if you just want to introduce yourselves.
Hey, guys, this is Robert.
Hey, guys, it's Max.
Okay, so we've now all gotten through the beast that is the promised Kingdom Hearts 3. So, first thing that I want to really ask you guys is, looking back on it, what were some of your favorite worlds, and what did you just think of the game?
My favorite worlds were definitely Caribbean, Olympus, and Big Hero 6. I know that a lot of people were saying that, especially towards the middle of the game with like Arendelle and Tangled and a couple of those other worlds, it started to kind of just slog a little bit, and I was feeling kind of that same thing, especially because they never really talked about the main plot or anything like that. It felt like Organization 13 was just shoved into some of these worlds. But then once the Caribbean started and Big Hero 6 started and like the last like third act of the game started, I was starting to get a lot more engaged with it. I just remember Arendelle, Apex Legends had come out, and I just wanted to play that instead of go through Arendelle. Not that the world was terrible or anything. I don't know. It just felt too Disney and not enough Kingdom Hearts, if that makes sense. Like, there wasn't enough of the Kingdom Hearts plot that I play these games for, which could be good or bad because it seems like they're trying to go that route with these worlds. It seems like, I know Nick was talking in the last podcast that they seem to be focusing on the Disney stories a lot within these worlds, and Sora and everyone sort of sidesteps that, or like is pushed aside for these Disney plots and everything. So if that's the route they're going to go, I don't know if I'm going to like that so much, because I play this for the Kingdom Hearts plot more than anything else.
See, of all the Disney Pixar worlds that we ran into in Kingdom Hearts 3, my favorite ones were the ones that told original stories, like, Monsters, Inc. and Big Hero 6, for example, and Toy Story, just because, I've already seen these movies, and, as much as I like Frozen, as much as I like, Pirates of the Caribbean movies, like, seeing them be retold, frankly, in kind of a little horrible way. It's very
truncated experience.
Yeah, and it's an experience where if you've never seen the movie, you're not going to understand it probably just by playing this game, because they leave so much out. Like, I'm pretty sure they don't even say the villain's name in Frozen. Hans? Like, he's never introduced.
Like there.
Yeah, it's just like there's a scene where he's captured Elsa, and it's like, oh, what's going on here? Like, no one really understands. But the original stories, they kind of build upon the fact that you've probably seen these movies, you don't want to see them again. So here's an original idea that, in at least Toy Story's case, is canon, I guess. And because they're original, they actually incorporate Sora, Donald, and Goofy a lot more. And vice versa, they incorporate a lot of the Pixar Disney characters into the whole Kingdom Hearts plot. Like, I still live for Woody telling Xehanort that nobody ever loved him and that he doesn't care about Xehanort. Like, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah, that moment where Woody transcended and became an anime character was not expected, but boy, was it worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of how canon some of these stories can be, like, they're in the end of the Big Hero 6 world, there's a big shakeup, there's a big change. The original Baymax is back, and now Big Hero 6 is Big Hero 7, or, Big Hero Twins. I wonder now if Disney, Pixar, or if anyone tries to do something follow-up, will we see that second Baymax? Will they ignore it? It's quite a big change. It's not like Sora left the world and you could just forget that part happened. For the original Baymax to come back, was quite a big thing.
Oh, does that not happen in the movie? I hadn't seen the movie. I figured that happened and they just made him like heartless for the game.
No, the first movie ends with Baymax ending up in an alternate dimension and saving Hero by like shooting him back with his programming card so that they could remake Baymax. So the Baymax at the end of Big Hero 6 is a remade one because the first one is like lost between dimensions. And that's why it was a big thing for them to be like, oh yeah, we fished them out of this alternate dimension, and now he's evil.
That's so cool. I like the world even more now. That's a very cool twist.
I'm just saying, it builds up for a good sequel, because imagine the sequel being called Big Hero 7, and they already have a built-in explanation of, here's how we got our 7th member.
It's very interesting. So from what I'm hearing you guys, which I think is quite interesting, is that the worlds that you liked, not only story-wise, but also gameplay-wise, there were ones that were quite different. Because, traditionally in Kingdom Hearts, we've seen not linear, but, small zone areas, one leading to another. But some of these ones that you guys have talked about that you've really liked, Hercules, Big Hero 6, and Pirates, there was a big shakeup on how those worlds are done. They're just so open, or just like one area.
Yeah, that's definitely why I liked them. I feel like from Toy Story all the way through Arendelle, just not a lot happened in terms of shaking up the gameplay. Like Olympus was cool because, it was the first world. And to be fair, there was a lot going on because it was teaching you everything. But also, like, I've played through it a couple of times now, like running through it, looking for all the treasures and everything. And it's just a really, really fun world to explore. There's so much going on. There's all these different locations that look really different. And then, like, a place like Arendelle or Tangled, there's not really, for lack of a better word, there's just not really any interesting gimmicks in there. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, I thought it was awesome being able to sail to different islands and level up your ship and search for, like, the crabs and everything. And, like, you have a reason to go through the different islands. And I didn't care about the underwater sequence that much, but it was still cool that, like, they changed it up there. And then Big Hero 6 is the only world that really seems to take advantage of flow motion, because you can just run up all the different buildings and, like, go through all of the different ones, and that's really cool to me. Like, those, they finally shook it up, whereas Arendelle, Toy Story, Tangled, I think there's another world in that group, it's just slipping my mind, but Monsters Inc. They didn't change up the gameplay a ton for me. I agree with you guys about the story, though. I think, like, the Monsters Inc. story and all the extended stories are really cool, but sometimes the gameplay just, there wasn't enough variation, and the worlds are so big now that the same fights over and over again without any variation, the moves get sort of tiring, to me at least.
I see, maybe I'm like in the minority camp here, but I actually kind of didn't like the Pirates world that much. I thought it was kind of annoying at most, because it's like, hey, we're gonna give you basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but simplified a little. And we're only going to make you go to one place, really. Like, once you get the ship, you go to Port Royale and then straight to the final battle. Like, there's no reason to really explore any of the other islands except for if you're a treasure, hound.
I will say they did make it seem like you would need to level up your ship a lot, which is why I sailed around before going to the end. But that didn't really do much. Like, I feel like the battle, your ship level didn't really matter, which is why I explored and did everything. But also, I think you're in the majority there. I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot of complaints about people going around and collecting the crabs and everything. I actually liked it because it was a breath of fresh air for me, even if it was a little bit simplified. I think I like the ship sailing sequences more than most people do.
And so I guess, branching off from that, difficulty. What difficulty did you guys play on? Because I know that that's been a big point of discussion for a lot of people. Is that they felt that the game has been too easy. Would you guys agree with that, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, 100%. It's too easy. I played it on Proud, and like the most quote unquote grinding I did was just going back to collect a few treasures. But I beat the game, I think, around like level 45-ish.
Yep.
And yeah, it was still easy.
Exact same boat there. The only times I came even close to dying, aside from the very beginning when I was getting used to the game, were the very final fights, and even then I didn't end up dying. I ended up pulling it off, but those were the only ones that were like even remotely challenging, really. Like, I didn't feel like in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 1, Proud isn't insanely hard either, but it was a challenge. Like, I died a good amount. In Kingdom Hearts 3, I died like 2 times, and both of those were from very just like me not paying as much attention as I should have or something, and not out of a challenge or anything like that. Like, none of the battles, even at the end, to me, as cool as they were, none of them were you didn't have to do much except for just spam A. Like I remember in Kingdom Hearts 2, all the Organization 13 battles and everything, you had to block, you had to use your different movesets and change up your combos. And these, you could just sort of mash A on one of them until they go down, then do it with the next one and the next one. It was a lot more about the presentation than it was the gameplay there.
Yeah, definitely. It was battles as a means to story as opposed to something to really challenge the player. But I guess that's that's the entire pacing as well is a thing that I personally wasn't as much of a fan of in the game because you play through so much of the game and then you get to those last fights, those fights that we've been all looking forward to doing. And it's all, blocked in the last 4 hours of the game, 5 hours of the game.
Yeah, I agree that the pacing is kind of a huge issue here. And, like, they have a lot of neat payoffs at the end. But, while we're still fresh on the whole difficulty discussion, I do want to say that, this is a spoiler cast, right? So, you remember, like, kind of in the last fight with Xehanort, like, there's that scene where you're quote-unquote dead, and then Sora, and then Donald and Goofy, like, call your name.
Yeah.
So I didn't register that was like the death screen because I had literally never seen the game over screen until that moment. And yeah, and I think like that's just part of the like if you're going to make the game over screen have some kind of like narrative significance at the end, you need a way to pepper it in throughout the game. And if you make your game too easy, like you have a chance that someone like me is going to be like, what's going on here? Is this like another... Is he falling through the void trying to go into stained glass paintings? Like, what's going on,
Right. No, that's a great point because, yeah, that was definitely the game over screen, which I saw a couple of times. And I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. But yeah, to bring it back to what Stretch was saying, like, I think there are some ways they could have like made the pacing a little better. Like I understand that they needed to shove all the Organization 13 fights toward the end because that's the prophecy, right? That the lights and darknesses need to clash at the Keyblade Graveyard. And I think it'd kind of make a weird narrative if they like went to the Keyblade Graveyard throughout the game. But I think at the very least they could have peppered through like saving Aqua or saving...
I really wish that we'd seen a bunch of those saving of ex-members for, you complete 4 worlds. Okay, now let's have this fight to get Aqua back. Oh, you've beaten another 4 worlds. Let's go save Ventus. Just give me something more.
Yeah, right. I agree. I miss that from like Kingdom Hearts 2, all the times you'd have to go back to like Radiant Garden or Twilight Town for like plot development and everything. I'm really sad at how little you use Twilight Town in this game because I love Twilight Town. I loved those Kingdom Hearts worlds. And it kind of feels to me like they had originally intended to do that, but they sort of ran out of time or something because Hollow Bastion, or I think that's the world that Mickey and Riku are in all the time. It seems like it's pretty fleshed out. Like there's a lot of detail there when they're walking around in it, and it just seemed like that was a place we were supposed to have been able to go, but then it just got cut last minute or something like that. Especially because there's no explanation for any of the Final Fantasy characters whatsoever. I feel like that was originally intended to be there, and then they just had to cut it for whatever reason, because we all know Sora, and Sora cares about everyone. Like, he'd be asking about Leon, he'd be asking about Yuffie, and, like, what everyone's been up to and why they haven't shown up the entire game. It just doesn't sit entirely right with me that they're not in there at all, and there's no explanation.
And can we also talk about how Destiny Islands is fully modeled for both like that scene where you're saving Aqua and the very ending with the beach party, and you still can't walk around in it normally in the game.
It's just there's a lot of those original worlds that got to take a back seat. I'm actually of the flip side with the whole Final Fantasy discussion. Like I really like all of those characters, and I think that they were really important parts of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I've even said this around the office a couple of times, but I feel like those characters were, when there weren't original Kingdom Hearts characters, when the only original character in the series was like Sora, Riku, Kairi, and Ansem back in Kingdom Hearts 1, you needed these Final Fantasy characters to know about the Keyblade, to know that they need to do this to give Sora a push. But now to go from, the very beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, where, trying to find someone who wields a Keyblade is a difficult thing, and there's a scene once Aqua and Ven are saved in Kingdom Hearts 3 as they're all in Yen Sid's tower, that it's like, you have 9-10 people in this room. There's, Mickey and Yen Sid, like 4 of them are Disney characters. Everyone else is a completely original character with their own, backstory, with their own reason to keep pushing forward, with their own troubled pasts. That those Final Fantasy characters aren't as necessary now that there is other characters to push plot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I do wish that we got like a small nod at them, though, at least just to know where they were. But that's a really good point.
If we saw like a panning shot with them in the background, that would be great and all. But now this is so much more top level than, like, this is the 4 levels up from, oh, there's Heartless in Traverse Town. This is Doomsday Prophecies.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really fair point that I hadn't considered much. I was going to go off of that, actually. What was I going to say? I'll come back to me.
So with this end fifth of the game, there were so many payoffs, so many fantastic moments, and I wish that it had all been spread out a bit more evenly. But all of the stuff in the Keyblade Graveyard, I guess let's start from the start of the Keyblade Graveyard. What did you guys think of the Kingdom Hearts Unchained nod with Ephemer showing up, and just the mash triangle or mash Y to win Keyblade sequence?
So that whole thing for me, I was so happy, not for myself, but for the maybe like 5 people in the world who avidly play that mobile game. Because this must be like a huge payoff, right? Like, I played this mobile game so much. I finally understand this weird 100-year-old story to this game, and now it's paying off. Like, I'm seeing it come to fruition in like this game I've wanted for years. And that to me is such a cool moment. It's just kind of a shame that probably a very small fraction of the Kingdom Hearts fan base will like truly understand the importance behind that whole sequence and the meaning of it.
And even then, they might look at it and say, oh, that's the mascot of, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. But even then, Union Cross has its own ludicrously deep lore and timeline resets and the changing of the past and the future.
It's too much.
It is a lot. And I thought that little nod was really cool. I really appreciated that, even though it took me a few seconds to get it. I was like, I've seen that kid before. Who is that kid? And then when I saw like the ridiculous usernames, I was like, that has to be the mobile game. That's when it like clicked for me, was some of the names were super weird. But I do think it's cool that they're starting to tie all that in with like the I guess not the secret movie that comes in at the normal ending with Zigbar and the Masters and everything.
The epilogue, yeah.
Yeah, if we want to transfer into that.
Yeah, so it's a big reveal. We've got the reveal of who Lushu is, and 4 of the 5 foretellers are back.
Except for Ava. She isn't there.
Yeah, so we've got Ava missing. I think do you guys think that it was the Master of Masters at the end of the Yuzora secret ending?
Yeah, I was literally watching a video on that right before this happened, or right before we sat down to record. And from my understanding, I think that's exactly what it is. It seems like they're trying to tie all of that in, because they made such a big point of it in the epilogue, of course. And I'm still processing what a lot of that is. So from my understanding, there are they were the leaders of the different groups that were in Union X that you could like join within one of those groups, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And the 5th one who's missing, she went against the Master of Masters' wishes to raise a bunch of Keyblade wielders called the Dandelions, which is who you play as in the Union X, correct? And Ventus was one of them. And because she went against Master of Masters' wishes, like, we don't know what's happened to her, but something happened to her because of that, correct? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, something like that. Is that she was building up the dandelions so that when the Keyblade War happened, which it did in the first timeline, she would be able to take those dandelions, pull them to a different world where they could start as the new Union leaders. But then we have extra stuff like this. We already know for a fact that one of the Union leaders, one of the dandelions, is not selected by Ava and is a traitor, killing the original person who was meant to be a dandelion. Strelitzia, I think was her name.
Strelitzia was the original person who got murdered, and I believe that recently they've updated the mobile game where Brain, who's one of the 5 Dandelion Union leaders, says something like, some people think of me as a virus or something like that, and that's got a lot of people thinking like he's the one who is a traitor.
What's also a big thing is that Strelitzia, the murdered Dandelion, is Laurium's little sister, and Laurium is the somebody of Marluxia.
The pink-haired Reaper guy.
Yeah, so it's crazy that we're gonna see so much now of the mobile game come to the forefront, it looks like, going forward.
Yeah. It's surprising to me how much they tied that in, but it's actually really cool that they're doing that.
Oh, and another actually kind of cool thing about if Brain is the traitor, he looks exactly like Ericus, I believe, or at least very similar to. So either he's like an ancestor or is Ericus in some way. So, I mean, if he's the one going against like these dandelions, but he's also like for the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 3 been the quote unquote good guy, you know, the representative of light. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see like where that goes.
Yeah. Do you guys think Xehanort and Ericus are just done now that they like went into Kingdom Hearts, or they went into the light? Do you think they're going to be gone, or do you think they're going to have like big relevance in the future?
I can imagine them coming back like Force Ghost style, maybe, and like showing up to impart a word of wisdom and disappearing. I don't think, and I kind of hope that we don't get any like, you know, making of a replica to bring them back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Replanort.
You know, it's funny you say Force Ghost, because I believe it's Ericus who's voiced by Mark Hamill. I was reading in the credits. Mark Hamill is one of the characters. I'm pretty sure it was Ericus, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was... Ericus is Mark Hamill, and before he passed, Xehanort was voiced by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, and wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a specific thing that was set up by Nomura because he liked the idea of a Star Wars versus Star Trek.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Even in the pick of voice actors, there is deep lore.
And now I think old Xehanort's played by Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
kind of want to ask you guys. So with the secret ending, right? So I just want to be sure I've got this right, or at least as right as I think I can get it, because Tetsuya Nomura, I think, is like an edgy 15-year-old at heart at all times. So that's the world ends with you, right? That world.
Sora's is, at least.
Yeah, and Riku is just in like alternate dimension Tokyo, I guess.
I think he's in Verum Rex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what someone was mentioning in a forum I was reading.
Yeah, because you see Yozora there just being edgy at the top of a skyscraper, and I both love and hate how now I can't talk to anyone about the Verum Rex trailer in Toy Story until they've beaten the game, because there's no way I'm going to be able to hide that like Yozora is real. He matters.
I'm just looking forward to the scene in Kingdom Hearts 4 where Rex gets to meet the real Yozora.
He's gonna be like, "Wait, Sora, you're not him?" Yeah, he's gonna go crazy. But yes, from my understanding, the Sora's in the World Ends With You world, and Riku might also be, and just that building is in it, because that building is a real building in Tokyo, apparently, that he like goes up and sits on. Other than that, I have no idea what that's all going to be about, because there have been a few references to World Ends With You, correct, in like the older games, especially the spin-offs.
Yeah, in Dream Drop Distance, Neku and other characters from The World Ends With You were the people who Sora met up with in Traverse Town.
Yeah, and
so
they're the ones that help him with like the sleeping worlds and stuff like that.
Oh, right, I remember that now that you mentioned that.
So, yeah. I mean, and it would make sense for people who don't know The World Ends With You. The entire point of that game is that you're playing the Reaper's game, and it's, spoilers for a really old game that has now been re-released multiple times. But, your main character is dead. All the characters that you meet are dead, and they're trying to win this game so that they can come back to life. But, if we did see because Kairi got killed immediately for some reason.
That was crazy.
It's a real shame that they kept playing her up to be a main character, and once again, she's just a means for Sora to get his ass in gear.
Can I just say how disappointing that is? Because Kairi's had no personality for the past like 10 Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah,
and they finally.
Really sad.
Yeah, they give her an inkling of they pair her with probably the most bombastic personality in all of Kingdom Hearts. They pair her with Axel for like a majority of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Who, interesting, also immediately gets sidelined.
Yeah, the exact same thing from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 happens. She gets kidnapped and or killed. It's just...
Yeah, I will say they seem somewhat aware of that with the way Sora is at the end, when he's like, every time I get close to her, she disappears. So I hope that that's them being like, oh, we're going to rectify that in the next one, which actually is a point I want to go off on once we wrap up this part. I want to go off into like them rectifying things in the next game.
Yeah, so Sora ends up watching Kairi die, and then in that end sequence, as all of the Keyblade wielders are chilling on the beach and having a party, we see that Kairi is sitting by herself up near the tree with the pauper fruit, and Sora's not there. And then to see that Yozora secret ending, and for him to wake up in the middle of the Shibuya scramble, I think that he's died and has ended up in the Reaper's game.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I remember reading a theory where, you remember how it's one of the Xehanorts, like, screw me for not remembering which one, right? But one of them says something along the lines of, if you misuse the power of waking, like, there are terrible consequences. So my guess here is that Sora has misused the power of waking so much that he somehow brought Kairi back to life at the exchange of his own. Kind of Full Metal Alchemist-ish up in here.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, because I was like, is she actually there on the beach with everyone? Because they all just like stop and look at her all of a sudden as if she just appeared there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think it might have more been like we're all here trying to enjoy ourselves, but, she's over there being heartbroken. Like, we're worried about her, but we're not going to get like all up in her face about it.
Right.
Yeah, give her space.
Also, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, there was, in that beach scene, Lee and someone else are playing Frisbee, and they're using the little discs that he had as weapons in Birth by Sleep.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. I thought it was maybe Goofy's shield or something.
I mean, Lord knows it's been used for everything.
Yeah. I mean, actually, while we're talking about Lee and or Axel, I mean, I just need to say he's easily my favorite character in Kingdom Hearts 3, because I'm pretty sure he's the most like self-aware that he's in the most convoluted video game plot to ever exist.
There were a couple of points that he definitely spiked the lens a couple of times, but I was waiting for him to like say a line, look directly at the camera, wink, and then go back to what he was doing.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, there's that scene where they're all gathered in Yen Sid's little office, and he's just like, I mean, how is anyone supposed to keep up with all this? There's so many plot points, and it's like, yep, yeah, there are.
Even in that same scene for Jiminy to be like, oh yeah, I gave you all Jiminy phones, the gummy phone, and I've updated all of your journals, so in case you need to get caught up, that's where all the information is. It's like, why are we needing to hand out a frequently asked questions and walk through to players within the universe?
Yeah, here's a pamphlet. Here's your brochure to understand the game.
Yeah, that's actually Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say my favorite Axel moment is easily when like he's facing Xemnas toward the end, and he says something like, "I'm too popular to die." Basically, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier that I wanted to get into. I feel like Axel is supposed to be representative of the player and all of the confusion of all the different plot lines. And I also feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the last time this series is as absurdly convoluted and hard to understand, because there was a lot of exposition in this game that a lot of other games didn't have. So A, it seems like they're learning with that. And B, someone brought up in a post a little bit after the game came out, saying, oh, are we going to have to wait forever for other Kingdom Hearts games? And I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore, because as you guys know, we waited forever for Final Fantasy 15. There was like that whole issue with Versus. There was that issue with Final Fantasy 7 and Kingdom Hearts 3, of course. It seems like they're sort of Square Enix have sort of stepped around all of their development issues, and it seems like they maybe not streamlined, but it seems like they kind of know what they want to go for now. So they won't have like years and years and years of issues trying to develop a game. And it seems like they're going to streamline the plot a little bit, or at least be able to explain it in game more. And they're going to be focusing a lot more on that sort of stuff and not have so many different spin-off games that nobody can play and everything like that. It seems like they just got their shit together regarding that sort of stuff, which I hope is the future of the series and just goes on with that.
I don't know, man. I think it's still going to be just as complicated, because I mean, sure, we wrapped up a lot of, like in modern day Kingdom Hearts, we wrapped up a lot of plot threads, like the 358/2 plot has been finished. The whole Birth by Sleep plot is pretty much done, but the mobile game has so much juicy lore, and like even the mobile game itself isn't done. But I'd be willing to bet it's going to finish in a place where the next mainline Kingdom Hearts console game is going to have so much to pick up on. And since it's still being told through the lens of like Sora, for the most part, there's just going to be a lot of this, overhead of, well, this is what happened 100 years ago. This is how it's impacting you now. Also, Xigbar is Lushu, and Lushu's this there's just so much that still needs to be explained to Sora, aka to the player.
I guess I agree that it's still going to be very, like, there's going to be so much to it, but what I'm saying is I think they're going to be explaining it better. I think they're going to do a better job of letting players know who aren't entirely educated on the series, because even going into 3, the only reason I understood most of what was going on is because I watched a ton of different summaries on it, because I didn't have time to like play 358 and everything like that. And I just feel like they're not going to go into as many spin-offs, or if they do, they're at least going to be available on like mainline consoles for people to play. I guess is more.
I think one of the biggest issues that they had with the spin-offs is that with like complicated naming conventions, they do seem like spin-offs. Still to this day, I think that Recoded is really the only one that doesn't have a huge impact on the plot. I mean, that was why, so many plot lines needed to get wrapped up in this game. Because, the secret to Kingdom Hearts spin-off games is that there are no spin-off games.
Yeah.
They're all mainline. To everyone's frustration.
Do you guys think Kingdom Hearts would have been better, like as a franchise, it would have been better off like Kingdom Hearts 1 is Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories is Kingdom Hearts 2, 2 is 3, like naming it actually just in numbers?
They also kind of did that with, they had a Kingdom Hearts 3D, that was a direct sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. But now we've got Kingdom Hearts 3D, which since it has moved off the 3DS when it got remade for PS4, it's now changed its marketing to just Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which is quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess they were trying to get away from we have a 3D and now we have a 3.
Also, I think that the series would lose a bit of its charm. I do think it's kind of charming that it has all of these ridiculous names, as annoying as it can be. It's pretty self-aware of its ridiculousness, which I wouldn't want to lose that.
Yeah. I think, because if I remember right, Nomura was saying something like when Birth by Sleep came out, I think he said something like, if Kingdom Hearts 1 is Kingdom Hearts 1, then Birth by Sleep is like Kingdom Hearts 0.1. And then when he started writing the plot for the mobile game, he was like, actually, so Birth by Sleep would be more like 0.2, and this mobile game is 0.1. And it's like, I don't think this is a franchise that could be numbered anymore. I think moving forward, I'd rather not see a Kingdom Hearts 4 and just, come up with the most bonkers subtitles you want. I don't care. As long as it has like Kingdom Hearts in front, I'm okay with that.
I think with Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmentary passage, I think it's going to be rough to beat that. That's a pretty ludicrous name.
Yeah. Plus, remember, Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually Kingdom Hearts 2.9. It's not even Kingdom
That's
Hearts
true.
3.
At least the Hercules part of it is 2.9.
Yeah. It's so funny. I laughed my ass off when I saw that.
Same. I loved it.
So, going forward, we know that, from here, we have a whole lot wrapped up. The Seeker of Darkness saga is now over. How do you think that it ended for all of those people that are now out for the nobodies that we beat, for different redemption arcs, for Zigbar, and for even Riku Replica got a redemption somehow?
Yeah.
I really hate that Riku Replica has his own heart that lives inside Riku. Like, that's just so extra.
So we've got Sora had 4 hearts, Riku had 2, Kairi had 2, and now everyone has 1 heart, and Sora's dead.
Woo.
I think
so. Go on.
Yeah, so like going into the organization members, right? Like, you're just like all those fights that you have at the end. I don't know, most of them kind of feel like the redemptions or whatever kind of feel unearned, and maybe that's just because we still don't really know anything about most of them. Like Marluxia, Luxord, Larxene, and Demyx, who you don't even fight. All 4 of them are apparently very important to the mobile game story, but we've only met
2 of them.
Marluxia and Larxene's somebodies. The other 2, we still have no idea what role they play. So their whole ending is pretty cryptic, when they die. I think the Riku Replica thing was kind of fine, and like getting Terra back was like, that's cool. We're finally tying up the Birth by Sleep plot thread. I think maybe my favorite moment in all those organization fights is when Roxas does like a hero landing, or like the anime protagonist landing, like, I'm here, like, I'm saving the day. Like, that whole moment with, tying up the 358 storyline with Axel and Shion and Roxas finally coming together, even though they kind of don't explain where Shion comes from, but she's there, fine, I'll take it. I don't know, I think that was probably the best part to me, like the part where I had the most emotional connection to like the characters on the screen.
Yeah, from my understanding of the plot, I'm amazed and actually quite happy with a lot of where the plots went and a lot of the plot tie-ups. I can't believe how much they ended up doing in that last 5 hours. I think that anyone who expected more, I think, was expecting a little too much. Honestly, I think this is about as good as it ever would have been and ever could be in terms of plot wrap-ups. And for that, I'm just happy that they were able to accomplish that with this game after all this time.
Yeah, some of those reunions were really, really quite something.
Yeah, they were touching. They were quite touching.
I did really like, though, the the wrap ups with the last three, like where you're fighting Xemnas, Ansem, and young Xehanort. I think those fights with those three, particularly Ansem and Xemnas, like when you beat them and you see their dying cutscene, I think those were kind of really cool, honestly, where like you kind of notice maybe a little bit of character development in them, where Xemnas, finally kind of understands a little bit what it's like to be human, and Soros has probably like the deepest line he has in the whole game, where like pain is what being human's about, or something like that. Like pain's intrinsic to the human experience, something along those lines.
Yeah,
Whereas,
I think Xemnas's disappearing really spoke to me as well, of him looking away and saying how tough you would have to be to remain with a heart. I totally got that huge impact like you did.
Yeah. And whereas with Ansem, like he's finally realizing, like, because for most of Kingdom Hearts 1 he has like this huge boner for darkness, but now he's like, Riku, like maybe you've gone somewhere beyond darkness, which is it's like cool in like a 15-year-old anime fan kind of way, but like I'll take it.
Yeah, and they all seem to have really shown their respect for Sora and Riku finally. Like it seems like in this game especially, as much as Donald and Goofy and everyone treated Sora as a kid, still it seems like a lot of the villains finally showed respect for Sora and been like, all right, this guy is actually worthy of being a Keyblade Master. Like he can beat us. He's always thwarting our plans. Like I should actually show some respect for this guy. That was really, really cool for me to see.
Even though he failed his Mark of Mastery exam. Oops.
Well, that, and also, I guess another big sticking point for me with the story, looking back, is that the plan for Sora was visit all of the worlds, and then you can regain this power of waking, and then, we'll figure it out from there. But it got to the point where he was just like, no, screw this, we need to save Riku, and he appeared in the world of darkness and he just got the power of awakening. That part was quite unclear to me.
I think the game does a horrible idea of conveying what power of waking is, because I've seen quite a few different people talk about like their thoughts on the ending, and none of them are consistent in what they think the power of waking is.
Yeah, I feel like there was maybe something they didn't get to finish up there or something in terms of plot development, and they had to change something in the middle of development or something.
So going forward, we know that Sora's in the World Ends With You. Riku is either also in that or in the Verum Rex world. What I personally am hoping for this going forward, for just to see Riku and just to see this little bit more with Sora, I'm hoping that comes to DLC, because this is the first time that there's been a Kingdom Hearts game released on a platform that has a viable form of DLC. And the same with whatever we can expect the final mix version to be. Now that we can just have, you don't need to repurchase Kingdom Hearts 3 to get Kingdom Hearts 3 final mix if you can pay $20 to get 2 extra worlds, more super bosses, and a little bit more story out of that.
Yeah, I would pretty gladly take DLC at this point, as long as it's not like Garbo. What I would like is, because when, I don't know about you guys, but when I first played as Riku in when you're like going through the world of darkness for a little bit, like they give you Riku to control for a little while, and I thought that was like really cool. And in my head I immediately thought, oh crap, there are like 5 other Keyblade Masters we haven't played as yet. Like, what if we could play as all of them, right? And the only time they really kind of deliver on that is when you play as Aqua fighting Vanitas later on, and that's kind of it. So I would love if there was like a DLC that was kind of like the Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil, where like just pick your Keyblade wielder and like just fight in an arena. Because I mean, keep in mind, Kingdom Hearts 3 is also missing the arena, which has been in 1 and 2.
Yeah, even if they reintroduce something like the Mirage Arena from Birth by Sleep, give you a chance to pick a base character or get Keyblade armor and customize it and maybe play online with friends.
Yeah, I would take that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if even future games told stories kind of like how Dream Drop Distance was, where Riku was like a main character as well as Sora. I wouldn't mind if in future games like they tell plot points where you get to play as the different characters, where Sora is still kind of like the main character, but other characters are playable throughout the game as well. I think that'd be really cool, and it would also just lend to variety. Because Aqua and Riku, like they play differently, they swing differently. You have to like hit A at different times, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. And that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that, and it'd be cool if they expanded on that a bit.
Yeah, because as it is right now, like whenever you play a game as Sora, like you have those weird questions you have to answer in the beginning, like are you going to be a guardian or are you a warrior, etc. Whereas I think it'd be really cool if it'd be like you're at the start of your adventure. If you like magic, play as Aqua. If you like, being defensive, maybe play as like Terra or something, and so on.
You turn Kingdom Hearts into a hero shooter.
There it is. Hero Keyblader.
There you go.
And then I guess, have you guys delved into, we don't have the arena mode, but we've got the extra battles, the 13 extra battles for the secret reports. Have you guys done those?
I've dabbled. I haven't had time since. Like, I beat the game and I had to leave, unfortunately. But I've done like 3 or 4 of those. They're a decent replacement for the arena. I've only done up to a level 2 one, I think. And they're cool. They're fun. They're that type of endgame content that I'm looking for, so I'm okay with them. But I think I would still have liked an arena. Because I also just like the presentation of the arena and the having to go through the different rounds with all the different gimmicks and challenges, especially from Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, that's what I want out of the arena more than anything.
I played through like 4 or 5 of them, and I was like, I'm sick of this. I just want to find out what the secret reports are. So I just found a Reddit thread that had all of them typed out. And then I found out that the 14th Battle Gate has like the secret boss, and he is kind of like a little disappointing, if I had to be honest.
Yeah, I when I fought the super boss, I was level 60 or level 70, and I did have the Ultima Keyblade at that point. So I was able to beat it first try, which again, back to difficulty. That's a bit of a shame. So I remember still having my ass handed to me on against Sephiroth at like level 99 in previous games.
Yeah, I fought him at like around level 50, like lower 50s, and I died a few times because like my health pool and all that, but I'm still fine.
Yeah, like I still have to go back in 100% Kingdom Hearts 2, the final mix. Like I still have to do a lot of the Organization 13, like second round fights and fighting. I believe it's Vanitas in the Keyblade section, like in that portal in the castle that appears after you beat the game in Kingdom Hearts 2 in the final mix. And I want more battles like those where like you have to reach level 99, you have to like learn how to block properly, and you have to learn all the different mechanics and everything if you want to succeed. It doesn't seem like there's that sort of thing in Kingdom Hearts 3 at all, but like you said, there will probably be a final mix DLC, which would include all of those things, which I'm really hoping for in terms of endgame.
Yeah, I'm thinking especially if everyone's beating the game at level 40, like at level 40, at level 50, if DLC gets added, if an arena gets added, that would be fantastic. And that might bridge that gap that would put you up to, level 60, 70, 80, like if you were, playing the prior games. Like they've kind of left themselves room to grow so that it's not like in Pokemon Gold and Silver that you finish the main 8 gyms in Johto and get over to Kanto and you just sweep through Kanto. They might be leaving that with room to grow.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they took the approach of Final Fantasy 15, where they just kind of keep adding things to the game over time. I don't think I want as many DLC packs as Final Fantasy 15. I'd rather have those turn into full games, but I wouldn't mind like every couple of months, like a new section to go through that progresses the story a little bit and has some challenging gameplay. I think that'd be really cool.
Come on, are you saying you don't want episode Goofy and episode Donald?
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't know. Donald has now proved that he's the strongest Final Fantasy character in terms of magic.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
if it
Yeah, that was crazy.
kills him in the process, apparently.
That Zeta flare was really cool, though.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Also, speaking of them, really quickly, did you guys notice that Donald and Goofy, they're not more useful, but they don't die as often. They're not just always dead at the end of every battle. At least for me, like I didn't find them to do much at all, but they were at least alive, and I didn't have to revive Donald every 5 seconds so he can throw items on me throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they didn't die as much, but I also didn't really notice them. Like,
Yeah, they're still there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still relied on myself for the most part for healing and stuff.
I kind of feel like all the sidekicks were kind of like that. Aside from using like their hero moves, none of the sidekicks really did much at all in this game whatsoever.
I think that times that I like sat back and watched the characters doing the fights, it definitely looked like they were doing a bunch. But when a normal round of combat for Sora is flying in from afar, sparks flying everywhere, a couple of big flashy Thundagas, and then a big transformation sequence, it's just very easy for Goofy smacking someone with his shield to get lost in the background when the game is such eye candy.
Yeah, that's very true.
Keyblade Master.
I kind of wanted to ask, did any of you guys read all of the secret reports?
Yep, I've been through them all.
I will when I unlock them.
Okay.
I've been reading the 3 that I have.
Yeah, because I mean, they leave a lot of interesting kind of breadcrumbs. That a lot of it kind of centers around Lushu, at least the first few do. And
Lushu and the mysterious girl.
Yeah, the same girl that Isa and Lee, as kids, tried to save. We still don't know.
I think the current main theory is that that's meant to be Skuld, one of the dandelions, which again just shows how all of this is getting tied up together.
Yeah, I really hope Nomura explains somehow how these 100-year-old people can still exist in the modern day, you know? Like, I mean, did he explain, like, when they jumped world lines, they also jumped 100 years? Or, like...
That's honestly what I think happened, is that in the game, it's played out, I mean, from what I've seen in the game, it's played out that they got pulled from the world line that was having the Keyblade War, and they got taken to another one where everything was mostly the same. And it's only after they jumped world line and introduced the dandelions did Ventus and Marluxia's somebody and Larxene's somebody show up. So I have a feeling that it has changed it, that they're now in sleeping worlds, and so they're totally like present day, or at least like very shortly before the events of Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, because it'd have to be at least 10 years ago, right? And even then, Ventus doesn't remember. I mean, for one, in Birth by Sleep, he doesn't remember literally anything. He doesn't even remember that, like, Xehanort sucked the darkness out of him, you know what I mean? But, like, it'd have to have been maybe 10, 15 years before Kingdom Hearts 1, would be my guess.
Yeah, people are also wondering whether it's that at some point in this Union Cross storyline, a non-Keyblade master is going to attempt to jump world lines and have the dandelions jump world lines, and in effect of, because the first time that they jumped world lines, they lost their memories.
Yeah.
So if they happen to jump world lines again, and like one of the secret reports shows, this girl, Subject X, she just shows up in Hollow Bastion or in Radiant Garden with no memory, no knowledge, no whatsoever, that it may just be that that's where these dandelions have come from. That's where Ventus has come from. And we get to see how that goes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How exciting.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, for the people who haven't played Unchained Key, I mean, I played a bit, but just the mobile gameplay, the main worlds playing wasn't enough story for me to be interested in the missions that did have story. So I just, am keeping up with it via the subreddit and via YouTube. But they will have to do some kind of release, because the back cover movie is great for the bare minimum to know there's a prophecy, there's the Master of Masters, here, let's go. But there's I'd say the majority of the story is not included or takes place after Unchained Key back cover. It's going to be interesting to see how going forward, if they are going to make the story focus on the foretellers, focus on this lore from Unchained Key, how are they going to bring that all to the people who haven't played or don't have the patience to play through 800, 900 missions of a mobile game?
I'd love to see them remake it, but in the Unreal Engine, maybe, and take out all the mobile fluff.
That'd be really cool, actually, because I'm in the same boat. I did 350 missions or so, and I just got kind of this is the same thing. I'm just grinding. It's pretty boring at this point. They could put it all in a movie too, I guess, but I think people would rather play through it than watch through it, especially if they recreated it in Unreal with just the key plot points in a couple hour experience, or maybe a 10-15 hour experience. I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
So we've got the Secret of Darkness is wrapped up. Going forward, we know that we've got Lucio is back. Master of Masters seems to either be in the Reaper's game or in Yazora's Verum Rex world. We still have no clue what is in the box that Lucio has been carrying around. Lucio now has the Master of Masters Keyblade back. And we still have no clue what the trump card is that Sora was handed.
I hate that.
Oh, right. Forgot about that.
I was watching my roommate play through that part of the game because I beat it before him, and then I noticed Luxord gives him a trump card, and I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't pay off at all. What is this?
Also, really quickly, so how is Kairi alive again? I'm still lost on that, or is she when they see her on the islands and everything like that, because Sora's goal right now is to find her?
Yeah, I think we believe that at some point between him saying I'm gonna go off and save her at the end of the game to the beach party that they have, is that he somehow ends up in the Reaper's game and she is rescued.
Okay,
yeah,
so that happened. Okay, I see it.
Maybe
that
we'll
might
find
be explained
out
in a side game or something, or in
yeah, we could find it in Kingdom Hearts 3.2, a fragmentary passage 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say though, I'm gonna make a point to play all of the new games now, because I missed most of the other games in the previous trilogy just because growing up. But now that I am an adult and have money for these things, I'm going to make a point to play all of these other ones because I want to be more caught up from now on.
Yeah, as caught up as you can be with the confusing enigma that is what we have going forward.
Well, and the nice thing too is that, I mean, I don't know how nice, quote unquote, this actually is, but we do live in a world now where handhelds are kind of not as big a deal. The 3DS is kind of slowly dying, being replaced by the Switch. And the PS Vita, when's the last time anyone's released anything important on the Vita? Sorry, Vita fans. So if a quote unquote spin-off of Kingdom Hearts comes out, it might go to the Switch, which, I mean, numbers show quite a lot of people have a Switch. So at least a lot of people.
If they did do some kind of better remake, unmobilified version of Union Cross, I can see it coming to Switch as a kind of, the same way that Final Fantasy 15 had the Pocket Edition for Switch.
Oh yeah.
I can see them taking that and shrinking it down.
take a similar approach to what they did with Final Fantasy 15. Again, like I think that would be really good, a really good way to explain the plot and keep things going without it getting overly convoluted, or at least without the process of playing them getting overly convoluted.
Okay, so I guess to wrap up this discussion, talking about all of the spoilers, what we've hoped to see going forward, DLC, future games, everything. I guess the best question to ask at this point is, after so many years of playing Kingdom Hearts games, after so much build-up, the game's out, it's been in our hands, we've played it. Were you guys happy with it? Did it live up to what you were hoping the fabled Kingdom Hearts 3 would be?
It's a tough one. I mean, like, I think I'm at this point now where it might be Stockholm Syndrome. Like, I've invested so much into Kingdom Hearts that I need to believe I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3 and that I will forever enjoy any future Kingdom Hearts games, or else all this time I put into understanding the story is meaningless. And I can't live in a world like that.
Yeah, I was questioning things with 3. Don't get me wrong, like the first 5 hours, I was smiling like a child. I was enjoying the hell out of it. And then towards the middle of the game, I was kind of like, am I actually enjoying this, or am I just playing it just to play it? Because I'm so invested in it. And then, but then towards the end, again, like that back 5 to 10 hours with the Keyblade graveyard and everything, I realized I think it's just that's what I want out of the series, and I was smiling and I was so happy to see all these characters again, and there was definitely genuine emotion there, and I'm still looking forward to the future of the series. So I think I'm happy that the game is here. I'm happy with most of it, but I'm not sure how happy I am with just the middle of Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't know how much I want there to be. I hope next time around they just pepper in more of the Kingdom Hearts plot throughout the game. I think that was the biggest issue, was just the pacing and me thinking I'm not really enjoying it, because whenever the Kingdom Hearts stuff happens, I always get really invested and happy with it. I think they just need to do a better job of pacing it and including it into the middle of the game next time around.
Yeah, and I just want less plot points that feel like they don't matter, because I'll be honest, a majority of the Disney stuff felt like it didn't matter. I feel like the most meaningful stuff happened with the Toy Story world, and that moment when Sully grabs Vanitas and throws him into a door and another door and another door and another door. That was amazing. But for the most part, they feel like they have little to no impact. And even though at the end of every Disney world, they show you a few cutscenes that are here's what the organization's doing, here's what Alias and the scientist guy that I can't remember the name of right now, here's what they're doing.
Evan, spelled Even.
Well, yeah, I mean the good one, the one who's a somebody.
Yeah,
Ienzo.
Oh, Ienzo. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Let me think. Yeah, so we see a little bit of what they're doing, but it just feels like it's not enough, and it doesn't build up to this good payoff. And there are just a lot of plot problems I have with it in general. If you set up a black box in Act 1, you can't have it not pay off in Act 3.
Also, that just reminded me, we didn't even touch on Maleficent.
Because
at the end there, watching over Zigbar with the box.
Yeah, I feel like the game doesn't make her feel important anymore.
No, but they keep including her. What the hell is that? As if she's the real master villain.
I think she was set up as remember that this box is a thing, because she's even shown up now in the mobile game as she's traveled through time to get into the mobile game while still looking for this black box. I think she's just there to foreshadow its importance and make sure that the player keeps remembering that the box is a thing, the box will be a thing, whatever is in this box is going to be huge. I think for my thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3, I think I can agree with a lot of what you were saying, Rob, that I feel Stockholmed into a fair bit of it. I love every moment of it. I love the story, how zany and silly it is. I love that we can have all of these small things that only get paid off in 6 to 7 years. But I guess where you're judging whether you should whether you should be respecting the game for its Stockholm hold over you. I'm just, dive right in. I'm going to let this crazy wash over me, and I'm going to revel in it for all of its madness. I definitely think that, Arendelle was a weak world. That Tangled World, while it looked beautiful, Sora was so removed from everything that was happening. It was just like, okay. But that payoff at the end, I think, was more than worth it. I'm really, really happy that for so many games that we see that get pushed off and development hell and everything and come out as a garbled mess, I'm extremely happy that Kingdom Hearts 3 came out not only as good as I expected it to be, but better.
Yeah, this could have been a train wreck, and the fact that it exists and is as good as it is a miracle.
I mean, I will say it at least has me looking forward to whatever the next Kingdom Hearts property is going to be. Like, I'll probably buy it day one.
Yep. Yeah, there's no stopping that. I'm still completely invested in all of the Kingdom Hearts games.
Well, there you go, Square Enix. You've got at least 3 purchases for Kingdom Hearts 4 from us here at TechRaptor. So thank you for everyone who's been listening. If you have your own thoughts and comments that you want to share, you can leave them down below. And you can also check out our previous discussion where we went more into talking of gameplay and the early aspects of the game over on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.